Those of you who know me tend to know that I like to do icebreakers before teaching. Just kind of set the tone for what's coming up. And I had an icebreaker. I left it at work. So that icebreaker's not happening. But I thought, well, I could recreate this. And this morning as I was thinking, you know what, I can't really recreate this because the one I wrote was kind of clever, kind of funny, kind of, just breaking the tension. But everything that's going on right now in the world, in the news, I don't have a whole lot of funny in me right now. It's kind of echoing what Fiona was talking about. The dangers that are happening, it's becoming the norm. And I'm like, how do I even take a moment to address Baton Rouge, Atlanta, Dallas, Minnesota? What was that, Joey? Yeah, Minnesota. I mean, it's how do I address that? Because I want to instinctively, as a person of the flesh, I want to justify one side or the other. I like cops. I got a lot of friends that are police officers. So, yeah, I want to justify for them if they're being attacked. But there is a reality to the challenge they face, and sometimes the quick decisions they make can be clouded too, just because they're human. And how do I pray? How do I pray about any of this? Because when we pray, we want a right and a wrong. We want to pray for what God's going to agree that we're right about. And this is a very tough situation because we live in a world of laws and protections that define justification. Those people who are blocking the Dan Ryan today, blocking different highways around the U.S., believe they're justified. And they are justified to some degree by our Constitution. We have the right to protest. But when an officer has to pull a weapon because he's in danger, he's also justified by his response. And when the peaceful protests become violent and officers have to be violent in return, they're justified. We live in a world of justified laws. We have justification to protect the right to protest, but we have justification to protect the right to protect. These are worldly laws. And I think that's the conclusion I came to this morning is these are laws of the world. These are not God's laws. We are only justified in one way by God, and none of it has to do with the Constitution or guns or protests or violence. The justification that we have with God was at the complete and total expense of God. The only violence that happened there was to his son. And that's the heart that I want to have looking at what's going on in the world today. Because what Fiona described, in fact, Holly and I had that situation a couple months ago where we heard somebody shoot off. I'm going to guess it probably was a whole clip because I woke up out of sleep, so I might miss the first couple. And we sat there in bed listening for that telltale sign of the sirens. Because we don't live in a dangerous neighborhood where we're at, but danger is everywhere. And right now we're just seeing it on television. We're seeing what we used to see in Russia or in Germany or other parts of the country we would see in newsreel footages. Now we see it live. How are we to act as Christians? We should never be surprised, I think Ivan said this earlier this year, and it really stuck with me, that the world loves its sin. Loves it. They don't love God, they love their sin. So we can't be surprised that this is the outcome of society. The church should never look like that. We, the church, should not be justifying one side over the other. We should be praying for both sides. We should be praying for the ones so in the wrong